Hello and welcome to today's, which is the second of our Card and the Cuppa events in April 2025. My name is Fiona Whitten, and this is an event that I hold twice a month over at Home Grange at what is now called Viv's Cafe. Previously was the Grange Chocolate Cafe. Just bear with me a second. I am chatting and also trying to check that this video is going out live, and it seems that I can't do both at once today. I just don't seem to have the coordination. Right, okay, I think it is. Oh, is it? It says it's live, and I'm just hoping that this is straight. So yes, so I said this is the second of our April events, and I have to admit today was probably a bit of a labour of love, especially in the preparation for it, because there was quite a bit involved, but the actual putting together was fairly straightforward. So this was the card that we made, and it's a hexagonal fun fold card. So if you look from the top, you can see that there are 6 sides, hence the hexagonal. So this is what it looks, and it fits quite neatly into a standard envelope. So that's the nice thing about it. So that's what we were all aiming at to make today. And I will share with you. So this was the kit that everybody got. There was quite a few pieces. As I said, it was a bit of a labour of love when it came to the prep. But I will walk you through them. There's no need to write these down because I will be writing up instructions which you will be able to get hold of later this week if you fancy giving this a go. It'll go up on the creatingwithfiona.com website under the tutorials page. So you'll be able to find it there. So right, let's start. With the base. So the base panel is a basic piece of cardstock which is 10.5 tall from 14.9 centimetres wide, and then it's scored from both ends. So there's 3 centimetres there, and then I turned it and I scored it at 3 centimetres again. So that was pretty straightforward. And I'm just going to grab my bone folder. So and when it actually comes to making the card, these are going to be folded over like so. Okay, but we are going to be working with it flat to start off with. There are 2 pieces made out of exactly the same coloured cardstock, and you'll see that there is one. Let me move that up a bit. So there's one that's slightly wider than the other. So this piece here is 2.5 centimetres wide, and that one is 2 centimetres wide, but they're both 21 centimetres in length. And then these are scored at, let's see if I can remember, 3, 6 and 15 centimetres. Now there should be another score line at that end, but I didn't actually do that. I had everybody simply fold the cardstock around the panel. It was a lot easier to do that, to make sure that it was all square, and also the fact that making sure that this laid flat to go into the envelope. So those are the first 3 pieces. And then there's all the paper. So the first bit of paper actually started off life as one whole piece. As you will, actually, this is where I find that these aren't the actual bits. So maybe I've got them all muddled up yet again. Let's see. Oh, I'll be blowed if I can figure this out. You know, it's what I started off with it all the right way round, and I thought I'd put it all back in the envelope the right way round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Nope. Nope. Let's try again. Yes, that's that one. And then That's that one. There we go. So there was method in my madness. So it started off as one piece, which measures, it's 10 centimetres top to bottom, and then it is 13.5 centimetres wide, and I simply cut from both ends 2.5 centimetres. So those in fact are the pieces that will go on those 3 panels on the base panel, like so. If you get them muddled up, don't worry about it. It's not going to be that noticeable because these pieces are going to be folded in anyway, so you won't see them sort of full on from the front. There are 2 extra panels that are 2.5 by 10 centimetres, which will go on the rear of these. I'm just going to put them on top for the time being. And then there are lots of little bits that I cut to fit on here. So, that one's that one. So you're sort of like this. That piece goes there, that bit goes there, and then those go there. So as I said, all these measurements will be on the instructions, so you don't need to worry about writing them all down. So that's for those. And then the last 3 pieces were a piece of white that measures, so I have to go turn my handwritten instructions over. So that's 8 centimetres wide by 9.5 tall. And then there's 2 pieces of die cut, so you've got some white, and then this exactly the same colour as the base card, which is Moody Mauve. So that's for the front panel there. So that's the back panel, and those 2 create the front panel. And then obviously we had the envelope as well. So those were all the pieces in the kit. So as I said, it was quite a few bits. Now I took with me some of my old Stampin' Up stamps. So I took the Everyday Details, which is the one that I used. So it's the pot with the flowers. So I use that for this portion on the front, the back, and then also the envelope, as you will see. So I'll use that again. I hadn't put a sentiment on this, but I am going to this time. So we've got that. And then I also took with me, I took a real mixture because there were so many people. I thought, because there's a fair amount of colouring, there's 3 bits for each card, because of the front, the back and the envelope, that everybody waiting for alcohol markers will just take far too long. So I took all my alcohol markers in the appropriate colours, which were Moody Mauve and Peach Pie, Copper Clay, let's see, Summer Splash and Shy Shamrock. So those all went with me. I also took my set of markers, and Carol very kindly took her set of markers. And then I also took my watercolour pencils. So if anybody didn't want to use either the markers or the alcohol markers, then they could use the watercolour pencils along with the Wink of Stella to move the colours around. So that's what went with me today. So I'm going to now, actually I think I'm going to stamp first and colour. So let's put those out the way. So I've got three things that I need to stamp. So I've got my focal point for the front, I've got the back, and I've also got the envelope, she says, somewhere. Here it is, under everything else. So I have those 3. I've got a sentiment that I want to put on the back, which says, "Hope your birthday is wonderful." I've also got my vase. So I'm going to start off by stamping the vase on the, actually no, you know what, I'm going to start off by stamping the sentiment on this. So it's not quite a square. So you've got the shorter side is to go left to right, and then the longer side is to go top to bottom. And then the only ink pads that I took were my Memento. So everything got stamped in black, so which is exactly what I'm going to do. Now I've just re-inked this Memento pad. It's probably just as well because it was looking a little bit dry. So I'm just going to line that up. Hope for the best, as I said, because I can't see directly in front over it. So that's my sentiment. Now I'm going to put that out of the way, and then I'm going to ink up. I only need the flowers for this portion. I don't need anything else, so I'm just going to do that. So I'm going to, I think I'm just going to have them at an angle. I don't want the pot or anything like that on the back. So that's the flowers. I'm going to do the flowers again, just the flowers again on the envelope. And this is where it's always handy to have some scrap paper underneath where you're stamping, so that you don't end up stamping on your table. So that's that, and I've managed to get some ink on that. Let's see if I can get that off with my sand eraser. It might come off. To try not to put a hole through it. I'll have another go at that in a minute. And then the last bit is to actually stamp the whole image onto that focal point. I'm going to turn it around simply because it just makes it a bit easier. I don't know how accurate the image is on there, but I'm just going to go for it. And it will cover some of the edges of the rectangle. But I think that I'm quite happy with that. There's a little blemish there again. Okay, so I've got 3 images that I need to colour. And I seem to be putting ink on things. Let's try taking it off. Some of this I can cover with embellishments, others I can't. So you can use these sand erasers. They're quite effective. I wouldn't, if you've got a great big blob, then I would suggest you simply just stamp it again and then adhere it over the top of the bit that you've actually stamped. Right, so these 2 pieces can be coloured. This can be coloured, but I'm going to use my alcohol markers, and they tend to sort of move about a bit. So I'm going to put a piece of scrap card inside the envelope so that when I colour this, it's not going to bleed right through to the back of this. Let's start with the flowers. I'm just going to start with the light peach pie. I'm not one for slowly doing things. I kind of tend to be a bit quick with these. And I'm also not trying to cover the whole thing at the same time, because I need to go back in a minute with the darker portion and then the lighter one again, just to get some. I'll put that on that bit there as well. Right, that's the light bit. The darker bit I'm going to use to highlight the stamens in the centres of the flowers. And by not colouring the whole thing, when you do finally go over it, whole thing again, it means that that portion will be slightly lighter than the rest of it. time I will do the whole thing. So I'm going to work my way through and just colour all of these images. And if you think the centrepiece is not dark enough still, you can still go over it again with some more of the darker colour. And it will dry slightly lighter than that anyway. So that's the peach pie. I've got my Moody Mauve for just these little ones. I'm just going to use the light one on this. I'm not even going to go over it a second time. It can stay like that. And then I've got the leaves to do. So I think from memory I used Summer Splash to start off with on all of the leaves. Or at least all of the open leaves, I should say. I didn't colour every single leaf. Oops. It's knowing which is leaf and tends to be coloured and which isn't. That's that. And then what I will do is I will go over this again in a minute, but with a darker green for the centres. I'm going to use the very dark Shy Shamrock to go. And just to give it some shadow. Like that. Oops. I think I might need to go and get a thing to remove some of that excess. And then last but not least, I need to do the pot. And this one I just use the light copper clay all over. So it was fairly simple. And used a little bit of the dark just to give some shading, so I coloured the band. Sort of did these bits here just to give it a bit. And then I'm going to have my shadow here, I think. Like that. So there we go. And take this out and see what. Oh, there was a little bit that would have gone through. I'll sort that out in a minute. So let's move those out the way. So I have all my colouring done. Actually, I need one thing, which is to get the thing that I can use to remove some of the excess. So where was it? It was here. It is here. And it may not do it first time, so just do it and then let it dry and then go back and do it again. Because if you keep going at it for too long with it, it'll just smear it and make it bleed. So if you just do it and then let it dry and then go back, it's much easier. So that's that and that. So I can bring back my base card, which is all these bits. So I need to glue not those bits. So I need to glue these three first. That one, that one, that one, and this is where I have to spend time figuring it out again. Must be that one. Yes, right. So let's glue those to start off with. So you can use just normal adhesive, or you can use your tape runners or whatever. I prefer the glue because it allows me to move things around a bit. But the idea is that you try and have these three pieces going across at the same height, so you've got the same gaps top and bottom. Oops, now this is where I find it is that way, that's fine. So top and bottom like so. You want to make sure, double make sure that these are not caught, so this doesn't go over the score lines. Okay, now what I had everybody do this morning was to glue these two pieces on these two panels on the back of the card before we stuck these on. But actually what you can do is you can glue these ones on first, and what you want to do is you want to have the wider piece at the bottom, the narrower piece at the top, and you want the piece that has the two small panels to the left hand side. And you're simply going to put some glue, we're going to wrap this around that edge like so, and you're going to glue that to the back. So you want to make sure that that fold is right up to the edge of the card, like that. And then similarly with this piece. So you're gluing that folded over panel to the back of the card. Now the reason I didn't score the other end was simply to make sure that this card could be folded flat. So all everybody had to do was basically, with it flat, simply fold these around so that that piece went to the back. I had tried to do it just by scoring, and if it's off slightly, it only needs to be like a millimetre off, the thing just will not lie flat properly. So I thought that this actually was by far the easiest way to do it. So we've got that one, and then we need to do this one. So as I said, if you have it flat, put the glue on, fold that over like so. So So you will have a card that will sit like this, and you'll have to play around with it a little bit just so that it takes the shape that you want it to. But then what you can do is that these two pieces that you have left, you then simply glue those there so you really don't notice the bit that's been folded over. But if you've done it the other way around, it's fine. It doesn't look bad or anything like that. You don't really see these two rear panels. It just finishes off the card nicely. Let's glue this bit. Like so. Oops. Okay, so we've got the thicker one, the wider one at the bottom. So then we want to put this onto here. So that's going to go on. So that's the bit that you can write on. Like so. So that will go on the back, and that will finish off the back of the card. Like that. And then the front, you're simply going to glue on these panels. So I think it goes without saying that the longer pieces go in the middle, and then the shorter ones go either side of that, like that. There's one's gone walkabouts. Find it in a second. I do have some spares. If not, I will be finding some. And again, try and make sure that all the bottoms lines sort of line up of the paper. Like so. So there's a fair number of bits on here. But it's a very effective card. So that bit's going to go in the middle. That bit's for one side, and then I'll just go hunt for the other piece, which will be here somewhere. Right, check it's not in there. Anybody see it? It's got to be here. Probably stuck to the bottom of something. I know I had it. Right, let's see. I've got spare bits. Because I thought I had spare bits. They may not be cut. Actually, I think I have a spare kit here, so I shall just purloin that piece from there. It's not that bit. It's a little thin piece. There we go. Shall do that. You didn't see that. Needs must. And I've now gone and put the glue on the wrong side. Right, let's find another bit. It's not one that I can just easily turn over. Right, putting the glue on the reverse side. Make sure it's the right way around. Like so. Oops. Glue's great because it means things move, but then things move when you don't want them to. That's okay, and then to finish, simply going to glue this piece on. Need to be careful, of course, to make sure that I'm only gluing the top portion and the bottom portion, not the middle. And then this piece will get added using some foam pads. I just need to be careful not to go too wide with that. I'm going to try and centre it, top and bottom, left and right. I think that's about it. I've just used the paper to do that for me. So let's see. It stands up okay. Don't need the glue anymore. There's that. And then I just need some foam pads. And you don't need to put hundreds of foam pads on here. Just I mean, 5 is more than enough. So 1 each corner and 1 in the middle. There's nothing else other than a few embellishments going to be added to this, so there's no weight in it. And that's enough. Just peel those backings off. No doubt I will find them on the floor later. Put that on. Again, centering it on inside the other panel, like so. And then I'm going to add some of these iridescent pearls. And I've got some left here on a sheet, so I'll finish that sheet off before someone made a start on the front this morning, but hey. So I'll use these, and I'm just going to, well, first of all, I'm going to hide that blemish there. So that's a good idea to use pearls for that. And then just put some more randomly around on here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Need another one. Up there, I think. It's a bit too level with that. That'll do. There we go. So that's 5. So I probably need to get a little bit more of that green off. And then it shouldn't be as noticeable that I went over. But that'll dry in a second. So there we go. So that is it. So it's a hexagon fold card. Seeing as it's got 6 sides, and you can see from the top there, and then that's what it looks like from the front. And as I said, it fits neatly inside standard C6 envelope for the UK. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing that. As I said, I will be putting instructions up later in the week, so you can catch them then, and this will get added to YouTube. I'm now getting notifications from Facebook that Facebook Lives and things that I recorded a month ago are actually going to be deleted. So I think they're just working through everything now, things going, but I have been pretty good in actually taking everything off Facebook and putting it automatically on YouTube. So you will find stuff there. Next week, no card and a cuppa next week. This is the last day to order your kits for May. So if you'd like the kits for May, then please get in touch. You can PM me or here on Facebook, or you can just simply send me an email at Fiona at creatingwithfiona.com. Okay, so next week we've got Craft and Chat on Monday, so if you feel like joining us live on Zoom, then Be lovely to see you. Otherwise, the next Cardandacuppa will be the first Wednesday in May. Take care and have a lovely Easter. Okay, bye.